Well, this past week we had quite a bit of spring weather. It was in the high 50s, low 60s most of the week. We did have one day where it got low enough and snowed, and then one day that was pretty mild in the low 40s. So it's that time of the week. It's time for the weekly rotation. It's week number 66. So stay tuned. Starting off on Sunday, we actually decided to go have a real nice lunch, a little lunch date, me and the wife. And I didn't want to just wear regular old daily fragrance. I figured I'd wear something a little bit more special. This is one of those fragrances that I just consider a little on the special side. And it's Givenchy Gentleman, the Eau de Parfum. To be completely honest with you, I kind of like this one better than Dior Homme Intense. It's a little bit more balmy and resinous. Not quite as sweet. It has a different sweetness to it. And it lasts just about as long, projects just about as well. And it's a damn good fragrance. The wife loves the way this one smells. I mean, she likes Dior Homme Intense as well. But just a beautiful iris fragrance. It really is. The way the orris root is used in this one, it's... Like I said, it's balmy. It's resinous. It's got a almost creamy nature because it's so balmy. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Great for a nice date, especially in the cooler weather, obviously. It was a midday lunch date kind of thing that we had, and that was what I went with, Givenchy Gentleman EDP. And then when I got out the shower that night, I started testing on one of the newer fragrances from Ferragamo that is Subtle Pour Homme, the Fresh Flanker. I just did a full review on this one. I ended up wearing this one 3 nights in a row to do some testing because... I'll give you my full thoughts if you want to check out that review, but it's pretty much a real good out-the-shower fragrance is what I would say it's best for. Gym bag kind of stuff. Keep it in your gym bag to refresh with. Nothing special here. Soapy shower gel fragrance. And out the shower, Ferragamo Subtle Pour Homme Fresh. Moving into Monday, it had warmed up quite a bit, and I felt like it was a great time to pull this one out. I've been testing it on my arms for about 2 weeks at this point, and gave it a good full wearing. The Fingerprint Magnet, Bentley from Men's Silver Lake. And it's just a gigantic fingerprint magnet. No matter how much I clean the bottle, as soon as I grab it with my hand, it's full of fingerprints again. But this is going to be one of the more hyped up fragrances for summer 2021, in my opinion. I'm not saying that's what everybody's going to do, but I just have a feeling in my core. Because I know for me, this is going to be featured in my summer list. This is going to make the summer rotation quite a bit. Because this is great. This is a reworked, more powerful version of Acqua di Gio. Supposedly a good replacement for Acqua di Gio Essenza. I haven't smelled that one, so I can't vouch for that. I did do a full review on this one this week as well. It's powerful. It's aquatic. The amberwood in this one really helps it push. It's got a strong performance. It really projects. And it lasts a long time. It's just a damn good fragrance. And I picked it up from FragranceBuy.ca. I think they're sold out. Somebody mentioned in the comments the other day when I was talking about it. I'm not certain. I know for sure they had it because that's where I got it from. Damn good fragrance. Great release from Bentley. And that's from in Silver Lake. And then when I got out the shower that night, it was 2 nights in a row. Ferragamo Subtle Pour Homme Fresh. Moving into Tuesday, I had just recently gotten my hands on the other 2 John Varvatos and Nick Jonas fragrances that I didn't have, so it put me in the mood to grab Crimson, which is a nice, boozy, sweet, slightly spicy, just fragrance. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. It really is. It's more on the synthetic side. More synthetic than you normally expect a John Varvatos fragrance to be. Not super synthetic, but comparatively to a lot of the other offerings. But it's extremely pleasant. A little on the youthful side. I could see younger guys really enjoying this one. The saffron, the rum, stuff like that's real prominent to me. Even though it's very well blended, those notes kind of stand out to me. And it's just beautiful. It's well blended. It's a decent performer. It's not a super long lasting, but it's not super weak either. About a 6-hour fragrance, moderate projection kind of stuff where, a few feet for hour and a half, 2 hours at best, probably hour and a half range. Just a nice fragrance. They pop up at the rack stores. You can get them for a really good price. All 3 fragrances in this specific line, the collaboration with Nick Jonas, that line, are all decent fragrances. None of them are phenomenal, but none of them are trash either, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, this is the best one, I think. And that's John Varvatos and Nick Jonas Crimson. And then when I got out the shower that night, you may have guessed it, 3 nights in a row, Ferragamo Subtle Pour Homme Fresh. Moving into Wednesday, so I couldn't help myself. I really like this one. I really think it's a good alternative, a good cheap alternative for kind of a cross between Coach for Men and Dior Sauvage. John Varvatos and Nick Jonas Silver. So the day before I wore Crimson, the next day I wore Silver. This one's got the soapy shower gel kind of feel with that mass appealing ambroxan freshness, some citruses. It just works. Not a long lasting fragrance. About 5 hours, it's nothing special. In longevity, projection's decent because it's whether it's listed or not, which I don't remember. I haven't checked the notes, but there's ambroxan in here, no doubt, and it definitely helps it push. This will grab somebody. It has kind of a juicy citrus up top, like a real juicy bergamot, and very, very fresh. But still, as it dries, it starts to smell more like Dior Sauvage. It smells more like Coach for Men, kind of Coach Platinum-esque in the opening, but more Dior Sauvage in the dry down. Beautiful fragrance. $25 for a 75 ml. They're popping up at the rack stores. Don't hesitate. If you like Sauvage style fragrances, Coach for Men style fragrances, just ambroxan fresh fragrances in general, this is a good one in my opinion. I think so. Great cheapy steal. Great cheap alternative for Sauvage. John Varvatos and Nick Jonas Silver. And then out the shower that night, I like wearing Nautica Classic a lot out the shower. It's one of my go-tos, but I was just in the mood for the vintage formula. This is the old school original vintage bottle. As you can see, the bottle itself is green. The font is the old school font. This is one of the true vintage formulas. Actually does perform pretty well. Doesn't have that clear translucent plastic atomizer. Has the chrome colored one. Top note's a little spoiled because this is like a 21, 22-year-old bottle. But after about 2 minutes or so, you start getting into the heart, which this is much more floral than the remake Nautica Classic, which is actually right here. So, as you can see the difference, clear bottle, light color juice, dark green bottle. You can see the difference in the fonts. And then the same cap, but the difference in the atomizers as well. So, definitely, don't get me wrong, I spray the hell out of this one most of the time, but I was just in the mood for this, and out the shower that night, trip down memory lane with vintage Nautica. Moving into Thursday, another one that I just did a full review on, and this one is a delight. In my opinion, it's the best one in the line. Try it for yourself, be the judge. Be your own judge, don't just take my word for it. Definitely sample, sample, sample. Bon Bon Legend, the newest Eau de Parfum flanker. It's beautiful. It's rich. It doesn't have apple listed like I stated in the full review, but I get a warm apple accord. It's not just bergamot. I get the bergamot blast up top, but that starts to fade and it gets fruitier because the original had a red apple and pineapple. This one doesn't have any of that listed, but I damn sure smell it. So I don't know if it's hidden in there. I know perfumers and fragrance houses, sometimes they'll hide some notes from the listings to make it a bit more difficult for clone houses to clone the fragrances. Very clever. And I think that's the situation here. I think they're hiding that apple note because it's in the original, it's in the intense, and I smell it very prominent in this one. Beautiful, beautiful apple note. The violet leaf's very prominent as well. It becomes a violet leaf fragrance as it transitions. A little woody in the dry down. Doesn't change a whole lot, but it's beautiful. 8+ hour fragrance. Like I said, in my opinion, it's the best one. Better than the Intense, and the Intense is very, very good. But that was what I wore that day. Check out the full review for more details on Mont Blanc Legend EDP. And then when I got out the shower that night, was feeling nostalgic again. Went with Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger. I had just did the tag video that I had got tagged in for 4 most nostalgic fragrances in my collection. And just made me want to wear it, One of the most nostalgic fragrances I own, aside from Nautica, Nautica could have made that video, but based on timeline, the love for this came first. And this really takes me back to latter days of elementary school, because this was one of the first fragrances that I really, really, really wanted to have as a kid. And just really good stuff. Even to this day, doesn't perform that great, 3-hour fragrance at best. But it still smells great, and it's one I'll always have. I have multiple small bottles. I have another 30 ml, another 50 ml. I'll always have one size or another of this because it's a must-have fragrance for me. And out the shower that night, Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger. Moving into Friday, one I haven't worn in a little while. It's from a smaller, more affordable niche house over in France. It's Les Fleurs du Golfe, Baccarat Vanille from the Gulf Flowers collection. No, it does not smell like Baccarat Rouge 540. I know you see the name Baccarat in there, the word Baccarat, and you're going to think that immediately. I understand. Much, much, much more floral. If anything, it's got some similarities to Mancera Instant Crush, but not really. It's still different. It's got a very, very strong vanilla, as you would expect by it being in the name. Has a sugary sweetness to it. Might be too sweet for some. Powerful stuff. Beautiful, beautiful bottle. Love how they have the indentions. Cap doesn't click into place, but it does hold firm. It is like an aluminum with knurling texture going all the way around. This stuff is, and they did message me the other day and let me know that they improved their shipping speed by they switched to FedEx, and they're actually shipping faster. Because I waited almost 2 months for this to come in, and said so in my first impressions, and they watched, and apparently they paid attention, because according to them, they just messaged me out the blue to let me know that they switched their shipping to FedEx. So if you were interested in anything from Les Fleurs du Golfe, make sure to check it out. Beautiful fragrance. This is kind of their most popular fragrance from what I can understand. That's why it's the one I had to get my hands on to try first. I do have Orient Express as well. Probably going to wear that one more now that we're getting into the spring, because this one's got a good density. This one's really, really good for the cold weather, but you can definitely pull this one off in the spring, and it's a beast. And that's Baccarat Vanille from Les Fleurs du Golfe. And then when I got out the shower that night, just one I haven't sprayed out the shower in a while. Lemani Victoire Intense. Basically an even cheaper, even more synthetic version of Abercrombie & Fitch First Instinct Together. So it's in the Invictus Aqua kind of family. Just a lot more sharp and synthetic, just like First Instinct Together is. I got this for like $12 at a Marshall's, and or it might have been TJ Maxx. It was one of them, same company. But the loose bottles, they had a bunch of them. Couldn't help myself. Sprayed it, even though it's super redundant. I couldn't help myself. Great out the shower fragrance. Terrible performer. Don't get me wrong. But when they're terrible performers and they're aquatic, it's just what I like to spray out the shower. And out the shower that night, Lemani Victoire Intense. And finally on Saturday. So I went with some favorites on Saturday. This one was featured in my 10 Cheap Fragrance Alternatives video, as well as my favorite alternative for Raja Elysium Parfum Cologne, which it absolutely is. It's Sammy Andrus Blue Sapphire. I love this fragrance ever since the first sniff. It's just good. It's just good. The wife loves the way this one smells too. We were out and about all day on Saturday, and this one went the distance. It's extremely powerful. Has a really strong sillage. It projects really, really well in the first 2 to 3 hours. And in the sillage, it maintains a good strength for a few more hours following that. And I get every bit of 10 hours out of this fragrance. It's an extrait de parfum. You can see right here on the bottom of the label, extrait de parfum. Here's your note breakdown. I love this stuff. If you're only going to try one fragrance from Sammy, make sure it's Blue Sapphire. I love this fragrance. And then when I got the shower that night, it was time for a good shave, so I went with my Gentleman's Nod and Zaharoff Signature Royale Shave Soap and Aftershave Splash, and I figured why not. Gave myself 2 good sprays on the sides of the neck with the fragrance as well, because I just can't help myself. Even though the scent strength's pretty good on here and it does last a good while, I just can't help myself. The fragrance is just so good. I just had to give myself a few sprays. I didn't spray much. One on each side of the neck, not even behind the ears, kind of roughly directly on the side. So I was smelling great Saturday night. I don't know about you, but I sure was. Out the shower, had a good shave. Zaharoff Signature Royale Shave Soap, Aftershave Splash, and the fragrance. Well, that was my rotation for week number 66. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What did you wear this past week? Let me know down in the comments. It was definitely a good way to kick off spring. I'm able to start pulling out a bit more fresher fragrances. Not completely all about freshies during the spring for me. It's more so in the summers where it's just straight up fresh as they come, you know. There's still some fragrances that have some herbaceous qualities, stronger woods to them, a little bit of fresh spice that I really like to gear towards when it comes to springtime. And some of these definitely fit that bill. Really, really good spring fragrances. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the fragrances listed in this video and you give them a spray now, I'm pretty confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.